The Pike County massacre shootings happened in the middle of the night, early morning hours between April 21st and 22nd of 2016. All shot were members of the Roden family, shot and killed in 4 homes in Pike County, Ohio, near Peebles, about 50 miles south of Columbus. There were a total of 8 victims. George Wagner IV is on trial now for the murders. They were all shot to death at point-blank range while sleeping in their Pike County homes. The victims included 40-year-old Christopher Roden Sr., 37-year-old Dana Roden, 20-year-old Hannah Gilley, 16-year-old Christopher Roden Jr., 20-year-old Clarence Frankie Roden, 37-year-old Gary Roden, 19-year-old Hannah Roden, and 44-year-old Kenneth Roden. Christopher Roden Sr. and his ex-wife Dana Roden were parents to 20-year-old Frankie Roden, 16-year-old Christopher Jr., and 19-year-old Hannah Roden. Hannah Gilley was Frankie's fiancé. Gary Roden, a cousin of the family. There were 3 children, a 4-day-old infant, a 6-month-old baby, and a 3-year-old toddler among the homes, unharmed. Dana Roden's sister called 911 at 7:49 a.m. Her name is Bobby. She said she came to feed the animals using a key to get in and found them in the 4000 block of Union Hill Road, them being Chris and Gary Roden. She told dispatchers, "There's blood all over the house. My brother-in-law's in the bedroom. Someone beat the hell out of him." In another 911 call, that day at 1:26 p.m., a man at a house in the 700 block of West Fork Road told dispatchers he walked in and found his cousin Kenneth Roden shot to death. April 25th of 2016, authorities discovered 3 weed grow operations. Governor DeWine referred to the operations as sophisticated. The grow ops were located at 3 of the different 4 spots bodies were found. This initially led investigators to wonder if the killings were drug-motivated or connected to rival drug cartels in the area. DeWine said he believed the killers had to be familiar with the land around the properties, as well as the properties themselves. Finally, in October of 2016, law enforcement finally indicated they were looking in directions other than cartel-related possibilities. June 19th of 2017, DeWine asked the public for help getting specific information on 4 members of the Wagner family: George Billy Wagner III, Angela Wagner, George Wagner IV, and Jake Wagner. Investigators asked the public for information regarding any conversations, interactions, transactions, or dealings that the public may have had with these individuals, which could be personal, business, or otherwise, like information regarding vehicles, firearms, and ammunition. Authorities said members of the Wagner family who lived at the Peterson Road property searched in the months previous were believed to have moved to Alaska. They were allegedly trying to move on. At this point, no one in the Wagner family had officially been named a suspect. In September of 2018, journalists were finally allowed to review full preliminary autopsy reports. Initially, only highly redacted reports were released back in 2016. The reports say all of the Pike County victims were shot in the head at point-blank range. The autopsy showed all 8 victims were shot with the gun barrels touching their skin or just centimeters away. The report states the numbers of gunshot wounds per victim was as follows: Chris Roden Sr., 9 shots, face, torso, extremities. Dana Roden, 5 shots, head. Chris Roden IV, 4 shots, head. Chris Roden Jr., 4 shots, the head. Frankie Roden, 3 shots, head. Gary Roden, 3 shots, head. Kenneth Roden, 1 shot, right eye. It was announced November 13th of 2018, authorities arrested 6 members of the Wagner family for their alleged involvement in the massacre. Billy Wagner, Angela Wagner, and George Wagner IV were charged with multiple counts of aggravated murder. Law enforcement announced they would be seeking the death penalty for all 4 family members involved in the murders. DeWine says he believed the massacre of the Roden family came down to a custody battle over a toddler. Jake Wagner and Hannah Roden had a baby together. Evidence shows Billy, Angela, George, and Jake developed an elaborate plan to kill the Rodens. DeWine comments that the Wagners studied the habits and layouts of the homes of the Rodens to prepare for the crimes. The Wagners bought ammunition, a magazine clip, brass catchers, and a bug detector to prepare for the crimes. The Wagner family studied counter-surveillance devices on the property, including pets, tampered with phones, cameras, parts of a home security system, and constructed a homemade silencer that was used in the shootings. Not only were the 4 Roden family members charged with murder, but also forging child custody documents. George Wagner IV entered a plea of not guilty to all 22 counts against him. He has been held without bond since pending criminal trial. December of 2018, Billy Wagner enters a plea of not guilty to all 22 charges. He also has been held without bond since his arrest. April of 2021, Jake Wagner, the one at the center of the custody battle, which prosecutors say was the motive for all of the killings. All of the 4 Wagner family members exchanged dismissal of the death penalty for testimony in trial of family that faces a jury. In addition to pleading guilty to aggravated murder, Wagner admitted guilt to felony conspiracy, aggravated burglary, unlawful possession of a dangerous ordinance, tampering with evidence, forgery, unauthorized use of property, interception of wire and oral communications, obstruction of justice, and engaging in a pattern of corrupt activity, and unlawful misconduct with a minor. Hannah Roden began dating him when she was only 13. She became pregnant by Jake at 15 when he was 20. He admitted all of this. She gave birth to their daughter. When Hannah left Jake, she got with another man and had another baby. She pressured Hannah about custody and allegedly pressured her also to put Jake's name on the birth certificate, even though he wasn't the father. Jake chased, threatened, and strangled Hannah, threatening to kill her and put her body where it would never be found. Jake's family had custody documents drawn up that Hannah absolutely would not sign. She said, "I'll never sign the papers, they'll have to kill me first," in a Facebook message. The Wagners saw the message because they went as far as to hack their Facebook accounts. 4 months after writing this message, Hannah and 7 of her family members were shot dead. September of 21, Angela Wagner, Jake and George's mother, and Billy's wife pleaded guilty to conspiracy, aggravated burglary, tampering with evidence, unauthorized use of property, and possessing a dangerous ordinance. In exchange for her guilty plea, prosecutors agreed to drop 8 charges of aggravated murder and recommended 30 years in prison with no chance of early release. Just like her son Jake, she must testify in the trials of her family members. Allegedly, the Wagner family took a vote to commit the murders and set up a fake drug deal as an ambush. Billy Wagner set up the fake deal, a meeting with Chris Roden Sr. at his Union Hill property for him to be ambushed. Family members have testified Hannah Roden was scared of the entire Wagner family and that they were obsessed with getting custody of her daughter that she had with Jake. Witnesses at the trial described Jake as an abusive older boyfriend who tried to control her. Jake's ex-wife also testified against the Wagner family. Elizabeth fled out of fear that Jake would murder her. Elizabeth had a fight with the Wagner family after accusing Angela Wagner of touching Jake's daughter inappropriately. Elizabeth said, quote, "He laid it out very clearly to me that if I had done it, the right thing to do would be to create a Lucille, the baseball bat from The Walking Dead, and string me up in the barn, beat me to death with the baseball bat, bulldoze the barn, and burn it down, and hunt down and kill my family," unquote. That's when Elizabeth escaped with a friend from Alaska. As part of Jake's testimony, he said, "I had no other choice than to kill Hannah. My father first mentioned it to me." Jake's initial suggestion was to kill Hannah and make it look like her new boyfriend did it and make it look like a suicide. Jake says George never pulled a single trigger the night of the murders. At one point, Jake said, "I'm sorry," in court to the Roden family. George Wagner avoided eye contact with Jake in court. Angela and Jake confessed the last year. Angela glanced briefly at her son George as she walked in the courtroom as George kept his head down despite it being the first time being around his mother since they were both arrested 4 years prior. This is when they were charged, all 4 of the Wagners, with the Roden family massacre. The child, Sophia, Hannah Roden's daughter, who is at the center of the custody dispute, is now in the care of Scioto County Welfare.